Get with it, get afloat. Get a boat and go, go, go. Have more fun on the H2O. Get with it, get a boat. Get with it, get afloat. Get with it, get a boat. Get with it, get afloat. Get with it, get a boat.
That wasn't even long enough. Let's try it again. Woo!
Get with it, get a boat. Get with it, get afloat. Get a boat and go, go, go. Have more fun on the H2O. Get with it, get a boat. Get with it, get afloat. Get with it, get a boat. Get with it, get afloat. Get with it, get a boat.
Did you get a boat yet?
East Coast Horror Group.
They're here.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
East Coast Horror Group presents Dead Arm Movie Reviews.
Salutations and mutilations, everybody. You're listening to East Coast Horror Group presents Dead On Movie Reviews. So glad that you could join us tonight. We have a great program lined up for you. I am broadcasting from the East Coast of Lake Michigan. I'm Tim Kretschmann from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we have a great program lined up with you. This is Dead On Movie Reviews, where we present horror movie reviews and lively debate here on EastCoastHorrorGroup.com and on our live event on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining us. We have a great program, and our group of wild people that are going to be doing our reviews tonight is called the Faculty of Fear. So I'm going to introduce them to you now. I'm going to introduce first our gingerific co-host that prefers to go by his name, Little Baby Drew Face Puss Seidler. It's Drew!
What does it even mean? Where did you get it from? I don't understand.
Your mom told me. I did a mother joke. I'm sorry. Okay, next we're going to go to the coach, who's ready to scream at us, and not in a sexy way. He likes his victims, I mean. Now, here he is. Here's Coach Michael Exler. He's right down there.
Hello. How are you?
What was that? What was that?
It's a new impression.
It's a new character?
It's a new impression I'm working on.
You're working on a character. Oh, goody. We all can't wait. Hey, we got a lot of movies to review tonight, isn't that right? I mean, we got a lot to do. Should we go right into it?
I don't know, Tim. What do you think? Should we?
Well, I'm still looking for the button. Yeah, let's go with this one. Drew, it is time for you to tell us, what have you been watching?
I feel like I need to buy a boat. Sorry.
Get with it. Get a boat.
Drew, what have you been watching?
Well, Tim, thanks for asking. I actually watched this film yesterday.
I'm sorry. You know what the problem was? I didn't say your name properly. Little Baby Drew Face Puss Seidler, what have you been watching?
It makes me so mad. Why? And the thing is, poos. Like, that's not a word as far as I know. Like, you just put sound together. Right? Like, what the fuck is a poos?
Poos.
Yeah, poos. You cum guzzler? Come on, let's get going.
Anyways, so yeah. So I watched a movie last night. It was called The Girl with All the Gifts. I had never heard of this before, but I saw that it was starring Glenn Close, which I was a little taken aback by, for her to be involved in a horror movie that had no theatrical release that I'm aware of, at least. So what is The Girl with All the Gifts? That was the question going into it, right? Post-apocalyptic film. That's really all I read about it. Turns out to be a zombie movie. So that's interesting. They put it in a kind of a twisted way, a little bit of a twist on the genre, where they kind of keep these kids in a bunker, and you don't really know what's wrong with them, but they always have to be kept in a wheelchair with their heads, secured and arms secured, and you realize that they're zombies, and just crazy. So there's they call them the Hungries, which is what they all have something different to call them.
Now,
but this is a fungal infection.
I picked up that much of the storyline from the trailer. Now, you didn't even see the trailer, right? You just went in blind?
No.
Okay.
Right.
And
So like
I had a prediction when I saw this. I told the person next to me, my prediction was somehow, because it seemed like a lot was going on in the school, and these zombies were wheelchair bound and gagged there. I thought somehow they're going to connect this with Ritalin at some point. That, because all these kids are on Ritalin these days.
Huh.
And I thought, okay, zombies in the classroom. This has got to be a satirical look at Ritalin. So tell me, was I right, or was that a bad prediction?
I didn't draw that parallel myself. Really,
Okay.
they weren't in that school complex for long enough
Okay.
for me to be able to kind of draw that parallel.
Okay.
I don't think, but it does start out, like you said, really, really awesome. I would say that probably the first act of the movie is a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
And Glenn Close plays a scientist who, looks at the children more as things rather than humans. So she's kind of the shitty scientist that wants to do experiments and stuff like that. So there are tropes to the zombie genre in it.
You got to take base.
It's kind of like a zombie, but they're clearly, the children are, you can't tell them from anything else when they're not hungry. So they're very alert and aware and smart and just like everybody else. And that's kind of, the moral plot line of the film is, it can eat you and kill you and, kill your friends and family and eat you. But is it a human? Is it, kind of like the same thing where you see, robots and stuff like that. Are they actually human? So I think if they would have stayed in the bunker and kind of just followed these kids and how they have to deal now with this disease that they have, and be able to live in this new society post the zombie apocalypse. But instead, they kind of venture out within a half an hour of the movie. It's overrun by zombies. So then you just basically have Glenn Close, the little girl, a couple background army fodder men, and the teacher, who the little girl is the special girl, the girl with all the gifts. Her name is, I think, Melanie throughout the film.
Okay.
And she kind of helps them along their way to try to get to a new safe spot. These zombies, though, are asleep at all times, unless it's like something loud happens or something moves. So there's scenes throughout the film when they're trying to get through downtown London. Which, why would you take the route through downtown London in a zombie apocalypse? I have no fucking idea. But there's tiptoeing around, so they build a lot of tension that way.
Okay.
And the girl, obviously, they won't attack her because she is a zombie, part zombie.
One of them. Okay.
Right. So they send her on a lot of scouting missions and say, hey, you know, tell us the best way through, or yada yada yada. And when she's out, she'll eat like rats and stuff like that, so that she won't get hungry and eat the people. Because I mean, she is a moral person. She has a conscience. She understands what's going on. And
Wait, I have a question.
yeah.
Like, I'm not the smartest guy on the panel, but how are you part zombie?
So this is how it was explained, right? The zombie apocalypse happened. This fungal infection happened, and those in the world who were far enough along for a fetus to have developed in their womb, that were also infected, the fetuses then ate their way out of the mother and were found by the military. At least she was, and the classmates were found by scientists or military and taken in and studied.
So was
And
she
so
a zombie on
they're
her
not
mother's side or on her father's side?
I guess it would be her mother's side. Oh my. So yeah, that's how that was explained, that they're not full zombie. That they still have the hunger, but they're not susceptible to the other kind of things. It's more of a symbiotic relationship than it is that the fungus has taken over their entire body, like they have for what you would think of as a traditional zombie.
So there's no traditional zombies in this movie.
Yeah, everybody except for these kids that are a zombie are a traditional zombie.
Oh, okay.
Or people in that time.
Are they the running or the shambling?
Yeah, it's an infection, so they are running.
Okay.
It reminded me a lot of, if you've ever played The Last of Us, that storyline. That was also a fungal infection. Had a little girl who was special, or could be made to find a cure. So shitty scientists. Somebody wants to stick up for them that they look up to. It was very similar. I think you could draw a lot of lines from those two stories. Was directed by the guy. What the hell is his name? Now I have to look. But he directed Sherlock, a TV series with Benedict Cumberbatch,
Okay.
and did a couple of other like niche English stuff, like Doctor Who and.
Nigel Fistenbaum.
Oh yeah, no, his name is Cole McCarthy. Does that make sense? Does it sound Peaky Blinders too? No, nobody.
Yeah, I don't know him, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, where were we now? Does anybody remember?
Nigel.
Yeah, Nigel Fistenbaum was.
Nigel Fistenbaum was
Come
talked
on,
about.
I guess I explained why the girl was special, right? And why she had all the gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had athlete's foot.
Yes, she had a fungal infection.
Yes.
So, I mean, really, and then they just kind of turn the story upside down on its head, and it gets really fucking long. And I don't even really want to explain the rest of it, because it was just really a big disappointment towards the end of the film.
Okay.
And why Glenn Close, or how Glenn Close was involved in this?
You know what's amazing to me, Drew? Because I did see the trailer for this. I don't remember them saying Glenn Close was even in the movie.
Yeah, maybe she didn't want her name attached to the film, I guess. In that way. I don't know.
I don't know, because I just remember the setup for the movie, and I usually remember if there's a celebrity in there that I go, oh, it's got so and so in there. So that's interesting. And I noticed too on all the posters and that, which of course we're showing on the YouTube version of this, Glenn Close is way off to the side. Like, she is a side character on the posters. So,
yes, it just gets really silly. Like, the little girl they stumble across another tribe of little kids that are like her, and she has to become the alpha and like fight the fucking leader of the other little kid group, like fucking Lord of the Flies style. Like, it's real fucking weird.
Wow.
So that just ruins it. But I mean, the thought of the first kind of half an hour of the movie, which seemed to go by in 5 seconds, and the rest of the movie seemed to go by in 3 days.
Wow. All right. So are you at that point?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. So, Drew, it is time to get your grade for this film. So, what is your grade for the girl
Overall.
with all the gifts?
The girl with all the gifts, Tim, and thanks for the setup there, is a C. I'll just give it straight down the middle because I was really excited, like I said, in the first few minutes, but, very anticlimactic, I would say, overall.
Well, that's a shame. Should I see it? Is it something that I should go and see?
It definitely needs a trip to the editing bay, and I know how much you hate that. But it's a proper film, and well acted all around. But yeah, it just gets kind of silly and loose ends towards the end of the story.
All right. Well, thanks, Drew. We appreciate it, and everybody mark that down in your grade book. But now it's passing time, and we're passing things on to Coach Mike Exler. Mike, what have you been watching?
Well, the first film I want to talk about is 2016's The Disappointments Room. Now, I think I read this description. This is available on Netflix if you have that, or Amazon.
I have that.
And you can check that out. But a mother and her young son release unimaginable horrors from the attic of their rural dream home.
Hold on. Unimaginable horrors? I can imagine a lot of different types of horrors. What type is unimaginable?
Horrors.
Oh, horrors.
There were actually no horrors up there, and that's the horror part of it.
Oh, that's a shame, because Kate Beckinsale.
So you might be asking yourself,
Kate Beckinsale's in this movie?
Yes.
Yeah, and she's looking good.
And why did I want to watch this movie? Because I saw Kate Beckinsale was in it. And I'll watch her read a phone book. I don't care. She's very attractive. Her attractiveness did not save this film.
Oh.
There was a painful Morris the Explainer portion of the film. Because the movie just kind of starts, and you're just thrown into the thick of it. You don't really have much backstory given to you, and the story of these people sort of unfold as the movie goes on.
So, I don't understand. The disappointment, what's disappointing? Is it just my dad over and over again coming downstairs from the attic?
No. This house was built in, the 1700s, and back in the day, a very wealthy family lived there, and apparently there's this thing called the disappointments room of very wealthy people. If they have a child that has any mental retardation or any deformities or things like that, they would just shove them in this room.
Okay.
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 If you sounded like that,
You went in.
probably gonna go in the disappointments room. So
That makes total sense. That's so cool.
yeah. So again, great. I thought it was a great premise. So I think you can, once you find out what the disappointments room is, you can kind of figure out that this is sort of a ghost story. That the child that was left in the disappointments room is not very happy about.
Would you say his disappointment?
They're disappointed that their life was in a box, and then they
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Wait, where was he living at?
living in a box. So the acting was kind of flat. Kate Beckinsale, I mean, she looked good, but she was wearing kind of like mom clothes, so it wasn't like leather like your.
Yeah, they need to at least steam her shirt or something. Yeah.
It's a little much, Tim.
Okay.
Much. So.
Did you say steam her shirt?
Yeah, steam her shirt.
What the fuck does that mean?
You don't know that trick.
The
Yeah,
wrinkles out of it?
No, you steam a shirt so that it'll be tight.
Taut, if you will.
Yes.
Never heard of that.
So a lass with a wonderful shape, it'll reconfigure to the shape.
Lass. She has blonde hair in this movie too, which is kind of weird. I'm not used to seeing her with blonde hair.
She was. I think she was a blonde in the first movie I saw with her was called Shooting Fish. Did you ever see that one?
No.
That was a. She was doing a comedy. No, she had short hair in that one, not blonde. I take that back.
Blondish.
Okay.
So the last thing about this film, it's not really a spoiler. This is just the backstory of them, and I don't know why they just don't come out and tell you, because if they had, I wouldn't have watched the film. But it's the old, we lost a child, so let's move to the woods fucking situation, as you see so many times in film.
Yep.
It's
And that's
Antichrist.
Yeah. It's it's just very played out for me, and yeah, just
Where'd they lose it?
that's the only redeeming thing about it, is the way the kid died. So
Whoa.
if you want to watch it to find out how the child died, you have to watch it to see.
Dun dun dun.
How long do I have to watch it to find that out?
It's 85 minutes. You probably have to watch like a good 55, maybe an hour.
Cause so it's a question of how their original child died and why they went to the woods. Like that's a looming question throughout the film.
No, you don't. They don't even talk about it. Just it's them, their son, living in this huge fucking house. They moved from the city. They do say that much, and that she's some big time architect. And then it just comes out as they go on that they had a baby, and the baby died. And they were sad. Well, it doesn't matter. I think this will get a chuckle from at least Drew, but she, the baby was crying all night, and she was so tired that she passed out on the bed with it, and she rolled over on the baby and smothered the baby.
What?
Yeah.
So a co-sleeping incident. You know, you're laughing about that.
God.
We
That's
lose
awful.
we lose about 4 or 5 babies a year here in Milwaukee to that.
To sleepy mothers.
Yeah, co-sleeping is what it's called, and we have somewhere. I think it's about 4 or 5 of them a year that die that way here.
Man, so there's an easy excuse if you ever want to kill a baby.
Yep, just say you fell asleep on its face.
I'm sorry, I was real tired. I rolled over on it.
There are those that think that's what's going on, but yeah, it's an epidemic here.
So that's how the baby died.
4 or 5 is not an epidemic anywhere.
Well, I think it's too many. What? How many do you need to die that way before you think, hey, that might be a problem?
Well,
I don't know, dude.
The problem is you don't need a license to have a child. Anybody can do it, and that's scary.
The more you know.
Bum, bum, bum,
All right,
bum.
I'm getting the feeling it's time.
My grade is stupid people shouldn't have kids.
I'm not typing all that in, so you better come up with a grade.
D. It was flat all the way around. It was almost like they were trying to make this like a gothic horror, like Hammer type film, and just nope, it sucked.
Didn't work, huh? All right.
It didn't get an F because Kate Beckinsale was in it. So.
Well, and D stands for disappointment, and this was a disappointment apparently.
And she had an American accent, which was weird.
Really?
Yeah, throughout the film.
All right. Well,
Did you hear that, Drew? An American accent. American.
'Cause I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
I won't forget.
all right. Let's go. What is your next movie, Mike?
All right, the next movie that I have for us is 2016's They're Watching.
Who's watching?
There.
too.
There.
I'm always
There.
thinking somebody's watching me. Welcome to the 80s.
So this is billed as a comedy, horror, thriller.
What?
Yeah.
Comedy, horror, thriller.
Yes.
Drama.
Drama, action.
Sci-fi.
No, it's
Documentary.
it has it is actually sort of a documentary style film, found footage, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, it starts off. This is on Netflix too, by the way, or you can get it on Amazon Video for $2.99.
Woo!
It starts off like you're watching HGTV's House Hunters International,
Really?
but this is called I forget what it is. Something I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
So it just has a similar name, and it even has similar music. I thought they would get in trouble with how similar the music is to House Hunters. So basically, the beginning is just showing this couple looking for a house, and they find this house in Eastern Europe, in some very small village.
That sounds terrifying already.
Yeah, so so it ends there where they're like, the girl really wanted the house, the guy did not want the house at all because it was just too far away, and it looked like it should just be pushed over.
Was it in English?
Yeah, it's in English. But they're in deep Eastern Europe. It has a name, but I don't remember it, and I don't speak Eastern European, so it sounds stupid.
So it's France.
France? It's one of those things where, like, when you roll into like this town and everybody like stops and looks at you, and you know there's something just not right with them. Like the whole town, something just went a little.
Like PAX.
It is. It's like PAX. We won't speak of that again. So, in any case, it goes on. This lady, it's now 6 months later, this lady has renovated the house completely, and it's time for the follow-up. So they can add it to their follow-up show. So they
Time for the big reveal.
Banana. So at that point, it sort of stops showing you from this TV show side, and it's showing you the people, the hosts, and the people that run the cameras and sound for it. So they're going back to wherever this place is in Eastern Europe to get the follow-up story, and they bring a new hire on as well. So she's just straight out of film school and ready to learn.
Sounds like a
Sure,
final
film
girl.
School. Crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube. Sorry.
Yes.
Sounds like a final girl. Okay, go on.
She is definitely not the final girl.
Okay.
She has an axe tossed through her face. It's actually pretty cool.
Spoiler.
But the film is shot sort of Blair Witch style. It's like found footage, but again, it's weird to say found footage because not everyone dies. So the people that are left have this footage of what happened at this house, and it's interesting how it's shot. I didn't mind the acting at all. I thought the acting was actually pretty good, and it was funny in parts. And the story turned out the entire story turned out to be something that I was completely shocked of. And I'm not sure I can tell you what that is without completely spoiling the film. So once you find out what type of subgenre of film this actually is, of horror film, it's really cool. It's really well done. It's well led up. It's sort of if like you were to go back, things would make sense. Things you saw and things they said would make sense throughout up to the big reveal.
Interesting.
It's well shot. It's again, I think it was the perfect timing, so they hit the editing bay pretty well on the money. The story's, I don't know if it's original, but I think it's done in an original way. I think they added enough to put their own spin on it. The attractive cast. The one guy who was definitely more of the comedic relief, he was actually pretty funny. I didn't find myself. It didn't drag throughout. I didn't find myself looking at my phone or anything. So I was thoroughly entertained by the entire film.
Wow.
I was not expecting anything from it, and turned out to be really good. All the gore was pretty good. There was, at the end, they added a CGI element, and sadly they could not have done that practical. I'm sure just for the simple cost. But so they went for a little CGI, which did make it a tad bit hokey, but it wasn't too much that it was so off-putting that it ruined the film. Sort of like Hellraiser at the end of Hellraiser. That shit's pretty bad.
Electricity.
Yeah. Looks like shite.
I tried to tell somebody that was CGI on the internet one time. They told me that it was like somehow on the film they like draw on the film or something to make that effect in Hellraiser.
Oh, maybe they scratched the film? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
It's possible.
It was bad, whatever they did. Should never do it again. So, again, like I said, it didn't ruin the movie. It ends. They could definitely do a sequel. The way it ended. So
There's still one.
But are there? I mean, is there a demand for a sequel? I haven't heard anything on this. Is there any buzz about this movie or?
No, I have not heard a single thing about it. I was just watching or perusing Netflix, and this came up, and the description sounded interesting. So,
wow.
So I chose to watch it, and I think everybody should watch it. It's good. It's.
Oh, is it time for a report card?
I'm ready for my report card, sir.
Alrighty. So, tell me your grade for They're Watching.
I am going to give it an A.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
I was expecting absolutely garbage. I was expecting a movie that I was going to shut off within 20 minutes. Because there were a couple of those that I did that night that I watched this film. I refuse to watch bad movies anymore. I can't
Attaboy.
put myself through it.
Welcome to our home.
So I kept watching it, and it just kept being enjoying. I mean, I was enjoying it. So
It kept being enjoy?
Yeah, that was weird how that came out.
That's awesome.
That was really weird.
It still looks like a Japanese greeting card, but the English doesn't really match.
My mouth wasn't matching my brain. Sadly.
Well, that's a rave from you. That's a rave because you don't give out A's ever. I'm trying to think if you ever have before.
Oh, I'm sure I have on a couple. I think Green Room I gave an A.
That's possible.
That was a good movie. And Autopsy of Jane Doe I gave an A.
Okay.
Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Ah, well, I gave it many A's. But yeah, check this out on Netflix and support it. Maybe they can make another one because I think they have some talent.
All
Taliente, as people say.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Who are those people that say that?
Everybody.
Intellectuals.
Okay. 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 Okay.
All right. Well, thanks very much for that. I guess it's my review next. So.
Yay! Yay!
What the hell? What was that?
What was what?
God. All right. The movie I have selected today is The Mummy, the 2017 version of The Mummy. Thanks, Andrew. Or, I'm sorry. I don't call you that, Drew. I call you... Let's see here. I got it right here. Little baby Drew face Puss Seiler.
So fucking...
Puss.
Doesn't make any sense. It makes me so angry.
That's how I'm gonna announce.
I love that you just call me fucking piece of shit. To be honest with you.
Days of the Dead Indie, that's how I'm announcing you on stage.
Poos
Like,
Poos!
my boy, Poos
I'll just straight
Poos!
walk out of the room. I will just straight walk straight out the door, act like I don't have any fucking idea what you're talking about, then be gone.
Oh my god!
And then
All right.
And then I'll be like, Poos Poos, where are you? Poos Poos.
I would pay to watch you do that in front of all those people. I'll say, Poos Poos, where are you? And then yell, Poos Poos.
I miss Poos Poos.
You will never do it. It will never be done.
Oh, that'd be great. All right. Well, this is the 2017 version of The Mummy. This is the one with Tom Cruise. This is the movie, for those of you that haven't been following this, this is supposedly the movie where they're going to launch the Universal Monster Movie Universe, which they decided to call Dark Universe. Which, just so you're aware, there's already a legal challenge against the name Dark Universe. And it's very likely they're not going to keep it. There's some comic book movie that's been in development hell with the name Dark Universe. It's like a dark version of DC or something. And they've already have hit them with a lawsuit. And really, when you think of it, nobody is going to call this Dark Universe unless we're forced to. Everybody's going to call it the Universal Classic Monster Movie Universe. But because Monsterverse is already taken by Godzilla. So, anyway.
So the Dracula one from last year, like 2 years ago,
yeah, that's what's funny. The Wolfman came out, 4 years ago or whatever with Benicio del Toro. Then Dracula Untold. What?
I think Anthony Hopkins was in that too.
Yes, true. And then 2 years ago, I think was Dracula Untold with Gaston was in there. Now,
are you talking about the candlestick from Beauty and the Beast?
No, I'm talking about the villain from Beauty and the Beast, Gaston. I think that's the same guy. I think that's the same actors. Ben's in the chat room. Maybe he'll check if I'm full of crap or not. But anyway, both of those, after they made the movies, they were kind of talking about, yeah, we'd like to do this. And then the movies didn't do very well, so then they backed off. It's going to be interesting if they back off again, because this movie was made for like 180 million or something, and it only made 30 million domestically. Now, it does have Tom Cruise in it, so it made a ton of money overseas. It's not going to lose money. But it's pretty obvious that American audiences weren't sitting around going, my God, we need another Mummy movie. So, the thing that's interesting to me is when I saw the trailer, this was my most anticipated movie for this year. I was really looking forward to this. And when you saw the trailers, you got a feeling that, yes, this wasn't going to be a full-on horror movie. It's going to be an adventure movie, but it wasn't going to be as campy as the 1999 Mummy film with Brendan Fraser. Here's the thing. They should have been campy. They really should have been campy. Because this is almost more like the 1930s Boris Karloff edition than anything else. Oh, I have confirmation. Luke Evans is Gaston, and he was the one that played Dracula. And he was in the WWE horror movie that I think we all liked, No One Lives. He was in that movie. Yeah.
Wait, he was the main guy in that?
I believe so. I think he was the main guy.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that movie? How come there was no sequel to that ever?
Oh no, man, that movie was great.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I'll fucking fight you if you don't think it's good.
Thanks, Mike.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mike.
Came out of nowhere.
Well, okay. So why do I say this is more like the 30s version? And I'll tell you why. This movie spends an awful lot of time with Morris the Explainer. There had to be 10 Morris the Explainer scenes. I'm not even making this up. Now, here's what's irritating, the movie starts like gangbusters. Tom Cruise comes on, and Tom Cruise is playing that character you've seen him play in good movies from the 80s. He's the arrogant guy that, needs to be taken down a peg, but he can do anything, and he's going to go in, and he's basically like the movie Three Kings, where kind of a military guy that's running around looting people during the war. That's basically what he's up to, but he's looking for antiquities to steal and sell on the black market. His sidekick is Jake Johnson, and if you don't know that name, it's not surprising, but he is somebody I think to watch. He's on the TV show New Girl, and he plays Nick. And,
I know.
Yeah,
he's none.
Okay.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, he was also
in the Jurassic Park movie too.
He was in Jurassic Park. He was also in a movie called Let's Be Cops. In Jurassic
World.
In Jurassic,
he was like the nerdy dude who had the Jurassic Park T-shirt on, like the vintage one.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I know who that is.
Yeah, he's a comic actor, and in this movie, he plays kind of like the coward that has to follow Tom Cruise around, and he's scared all the time. Which I'm like,
I had no idea he was in this movie.
I didn't either. I was like, awesome, he's in here. And he steals every scene, at least the early scenes. He steals them right out from under Tom Cruise. He's really funny. And when I saw that character, I'm like, hey, this is kind of a character like Benny in the first Mummy, but instead of being the faithful sidekick, Benny was always the unfaithful, horrible human being that was always pulling stuff. So, anyway, they had some action scenes in like the first 10 minutes that were fantastic. Then you meet the female love interest. Now, the female love interest is played by Annabella Wallace. You might remember she was in the movie Annabelle, and she was about the only thing that was decent in that whole movie because she's bleedingly hot. I mean, just gorgeous. So the movie's awful, but she looked great.
So when's Brendan Fraser coming into this?
Okay, hold your horses. Hold your horses.
The Rock.
So,
Scorpion King.
Yeah. They get into the scene where, it's the typical scene where a higher ranking officer says, hey, don't be stealing stuff. And this Annabelle walks in. Her name in the movie was Jennifer, if memory serves. She comes in, and the first thing she does is she smacks Tom Cruise. And I'm like, here we go. He obviously slept with her and, stole something. And guess what? Exactly that. But I thought, perfect. We got two characters here that are the soldiers. You have the one woman, and she ends up to be an archaeologist, and she doesn't like this guy. And I'm like, this is great. They got nice chemistry. This is going along great. That was 10 minutes into the movie. After that 10 minutes had expired, my hope slowly was tugged out of my chest and splayed across the ground. Because what happens, and if you've seen the trailer, you know what happens for the first 45 minutes of the movie, because that trailer goes through it beat by beat. Basically, they're taking the mummy back on a plane. The plane is attacked by like birds, come and swarm the plane, and they go into a nosedive. And Tom Cruise gives Jenny the absolute last parachute on the entire plane, and he goes down for the count. He goes down with the plane, and about 10 minutes, well, not 10 minutes, like 5 minutes later in the movie, he's in a body bag, and he wakes up. He was dead. He had a toe tag on and everything. But from that moment on, they do things so those three characters that you actually liked early on in the movie, they no longer have their characters. They become pawns in this plot of the movie. So they're not acting. Tom Cruise doesn't act too arrogant through the rest of the movie. And Jenny, who was saved by Tom Cruise in this plane crash, she suddenly has no problem with this guy anymore. And I'm like, really? So everything that was fun about the movie just got stolen from us. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe the plot will be decent. The plot is a typical MacGuffin tale. Now, I think I've talked about MacGuffins before on the show, but for folks that haven't heard this before, a MacGuffin is when there are multiple parties in a movie all trying to get the same object. Star Wars is a great example. They're all after the plans to the Death Star. The suitcase in Pulp Fiction is a great example. The movie It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, everybody is after the treasure that's under the big W. You know, it's just basically a plot device to get things going. In this movie, it's an ancient knife that is used in some sort of hocus pocus ritual. Here's the problem. That's a very simple. It's a very simple plot, right? Get the knife. Don't let the mummy get the knife.
No, dude, it's not simple at all. You just told me Tom Cruise died and woke up with a toe tag, and now he's trying to get a knife.
Well, but the main plot is very simple. We're gonna go get the problem is they spend 40 minutes explaining this main plot. You have multiple, I would say they do flashbacks about on 5 different occasions in the movie. You know, it's okay to do a flashback, but do the flashback and be done. You know, the 1999 Mummy movie even starts in the flashback. It sets it up, and then we're done with ancient Egypt. We keep going back to ancient Egypt over and over and over again. Now, having said that, the ancient Egypt storyline is very satisfying. It's a good reason for this mummy to be cursed. And because it's approximately the only decent part of the movie, I'm not going to spoil that.
How did Tom Cruise get back to ancient Egypt?
He didn't get back to ancient Egypt. They just kept talking about it, and they would do flashbacks over and over. Russell Crowe, I am convinced Russell Crowe, when they brought him on, they said, we're going to give you lots of dialogue, don't worry. And he said, okay, then I'll sign with you. And that's what ended up happening, because they just had, there is a section of the movie that has to be over 10 minutes where Russell Crowe is just explaining what's going on. And for those of you that haven't already heard, and it's in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything again, Russell Crowe plays Dr. Jekyll. And this is so that they can set up their little dark universe thing. And here's what I think happened. I think they wrote The Mummy. They had a Mummy movie. And then they said, somebody at Universal said, we want this Universal monster movie universe. We're going to spend all the dollars. We're going to spend a ton of money on this. We're going to get top talent. Let's go. And they hired Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise looks at the script and he goes, well, this is a B movie, because The Mummy is a B movie. Even if you look at the Universal monster movies, The Mummy isn't one of the first 3 that you talk about. You talk about Dracula, you talk about Frankenstein, you talk about Wolfman. Those are your top 3. Mummy was a B movie even when they were all B movies. And when the 1999 Brendan Fraser one came out, it embraced being a B movie. In fact, a lot of people don't remember this. Do you remember when The Mummy came out in 1999?
I went and saw it in the theater.
Yeah, do you remember what week it came out? What other movie was going strong at the time?
Man, no.
Okay, well, it's actually one of the reasons the movie was such a huge hit. It came out 1 week before The Phantom Menace. And it's often been talked about that what they did is they counter-programmed. People that could not get in to see Star Wars The Phantom Menace would go to The Mummy. And it turned out that The Mummy was actually the better movie, in my opinion. So people kept going to see The Mummy. And people wanted a good action film. And that movie makes no excuses. It's like, I'm a B movie. We're going to have action. Shit's going to go down, and we're good to go. Now, is the original The Mummy a scary movie? Not particularly, but it's a very fun movie. Is this movie a scary movie? Well, it's certainly scarier than 1999's The Mummy. But that isn't a good thing. It has a few fairly decent action sequences. It certainly has better special effects. But you're referring to a movie that's almost 20 years old at this point. You know, The Mummy was one of the first 5 DVDs that I owned. Because it was one of those where you buy the DVD player and we'll give you 3 DVDs. And, you know, I got The Matrix, I got this one, and something with Matthew Perry, I think. You know, to show off what the DVD player could do. Yeah, it was something with Matthew Perry and Selma Hayek.
The whole 9 yards.
No, that I would have been happy with. It was a bad movie. Anyway, and I got Analyze This. That was another one of them. But I remember watching The Mummy over and over and over because it had great effects and it was fun and it was entertaining and it had lots of bonuses because that was the beginning of, here's behind the scenes on the DVD and all this stuff. It was a lot of fun. This movie, I don't foresee myself getting the DVD. I don't foresee myself watching this thing again. Tom Cruise is fine. He plays the part that he was written. The problem is the final 2 acts of the movie, he's not interesting. He's just a pawn in the film. Annabelle Wallis, she's good, but she was given nothing to do. Had she remained sassy like she was in the first scene, she would have been more attractive, even though she's damn good looking, but she would have been more attractive, but also wouldn't have fallen into damsel in distress mode just 1 week after Wonder Woman came out. I mean, it was actually like I went, oh God, the women's movement went back 3 years. Just with her character because she's helpless. She's a joke. Now Jake Johnson.
Isn't the Mummy, like all the trailers show the Mummy being this female character.
The Mummy is a female character. The problem is that character is actually interesting in the past when they do the flashbacks, but when they come to now, she isn't real interesting. Now, I've always thought the Mummy is a tough bad guy character because it is kind of it's a stupid monster. It isn't that interesting. But this one's really not good. Now, what they did is they kind of made her able to create not other mummies, but almost zombie-like characters. By her doing something to him. So she had minions. But that wasn't good. Now Jake Johnson, he was a strong thing in the movie. He stole the scenes from Tom Cruise early on. But then his character got so watered down, it was like diarrhea after visiting a Mexican place. I mean, it was just, he was nothing. His character disappeared. And it was really a shame. Then Russell Crowe, he actually almost ruined the movie single-handedly. And he's a great actor. And the work he did, I guess, is fine. The problem is they just, I mean, he was just gabbing like I am right now. I mean, literally that long. And that's a problem. I think what they should have done was kept it a B movie, kept the stars out of the movie, kept that the budget to like 30-40 million. I think it would have made almost the same amount of money. Because this thing was just a mess. They needed to have some fun. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of some of the missteps DC Universe was making with Superman versus Batman. And some of their movies were getting criticized because people weren't having fun. When you make a popcorn flick, it should be a fun film. And they're trying to do something darker. Now, you can almost forgive them because, hey, this is a monster universe. We need it to be dark. But really, who's scared of Dracula or Frankenstein anymore? It's going to be a tough sale, however you do it. But if you make it fun and you make the characters fun, frankly, I don't think anybody is going to say, I really want to see that mummy again. I think they'll say, whoever. It could be whoever. And they almost set it up that the mummy isn't going to show up again. It's going to be Tom Cruise's character. And it's like...
That makes sense.
It really doesn't make a lot of sense. And I could get more into that, but that would be a big spoiler. So I'm not going to do that. Now, they have already planned Russell Crowe doing a Dr. Jekyll movie. Johnny Depp is going to do an Invisible Man movie. And there's The Bride of Frankenstein with Angelina Jolie, which I believe is the next one they want to shoot. And they got Roger Condon, I believe, as the director, who's some hot... I can't remember off the top of my head what movies he's made, but he's a well-regarded movie maker. I'm hoping they can turn it around just as DC, I think, turned things around with Wonder Woman in this last movie. But I have to tell you, I think a lot of people are going to be turned off of the whole Universal classic monster movie thing, because this movie was a gigantic turd. Which brings me to this part where I give you the grade. And the grade for this film, I give it a D+. Which a movie that's costing over $150 million should never get a D+. They had enough people to make sure this movie was decent. And they screwed it up beyond all recognition. And just for reference, I would probably give Brendan Fraser's Mummy 1999 an A-. And I will tell you, there was a lot of talk about, are they going to have Brendan Fraser in there as a cameo or anything like this? And Universal was like, no freaking way. This is its own thing. It isn't campy, blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of people would have actually preferred had they made another Brendan Fraser Mummy movie and somehow locked it in with their new universe. Because this thing... And I didn't like the second Mummy movie, Mummy Returns. But I actually thought the third one, that was like with the Yeti and was set in China, that one, I thought that was a great movie. It wasn't... Well, I shouldn't say a great movie. It was an entertaining movie. I think they could have done that, and it would have made this much money had they put the resources behind it they put into this. So I think there's a lot of people at Universal right now probably scared for their jobs. So it's going to be interesting how this all works out and if they continue to make these films. Well, we are at the end of the program, so the first thing I have to ask you is, Drew, what's coming up on Thursday on From Dusk Till Con Radio?
What we're going to have on the Conscripts and Culture that you can stomach. No.
You haven't planned it at all, have you?
What's that?
You haven't planned it at all, have you?
No, I have nothing planned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, what's going on the website?
We have last week's episode of From Dusk Till Con Radio up there for your listening enjoyment. And we also have, what do we have? The last Dead On movie reviews up there as well. We have a Scream at the Screen. Another one of those will come out next week. And yeah, so check out some of our older content and enjoy. In
fact, the Scream at the Screen that you just put out, it has Tracy DeLeon. And Tracy is actually going to be a guest panelist on this show in the very near future. And we're looking forward to that. And also Portia Shell Lynn is coming on the program as well. And I believe it's July 11th and July 25th. Make sure you check out on Facebook to get all the information about those guest panelists coming to future Dead On movie reviews. Oh, and I just got news from Ben in the chat room that Javier Bardem is also going to be in Bride of Frankenstein. So they're putting a lot of money into this Universal monster.
Is that the guy from No Country for Old Men?
Yes, that's him.
Okay. Is it going to be Frankenstein's monster?
I don't know. I think
he
there's
looks like it, right?
He could do it. He could do it. And by the way, the movie that I was referencing with Matthew Perry, Ben did look it up. It's Fools Rush In. And I will tell everybody, if there was an F-, that would be up there. No, I can't say that. Salma Hayek looks good in it, so you got to give it like a few points. But it's a bad movie. All right. I think we're at the end of the program. Want to thank everybody for tuning in and hope you enjoyed this week's show. Any last things that you guys want to tell people, East Coast Horror Group related?
You can find our t-shirts at fastcustomshirts.com.
Guys, you knew I didn't have my finger on the trigger that time. Oh. And if you wear one of these shirts, Mike, and you come up to Mike at the Indianapolis Days of the Dead, what do you get?
You get a bouton.
Fisted.
What? What?
Did you say syphilis?
I said fisted.
Oh, God.
You'll get a bouton.
A bouton. All right. All right. Good night, everybody. And thanks so much for tuning in.
Beauty and the Beast. Thing got back in the studio again. It's almost what I would imagine Buddy and Tap Dancer to sound like.
Jeez.
Maybe his name is Bonet.
Bonet Tap Dancer. How a French it.
Oh, my God.
Your bouton is unbuttoned.
What?
Look up,
what?
Dude.
I could live in France.
So dumb. Your bouton is unbuttoned.
Oh, yes. How many other people can we irritate with accents that we do on the show?
Mon ami. Oh, your bouton. So stupid.
Okay.
Come on, I find it so funny.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Get back.